Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Happy Saturday, it's April 17th, and we're coming to you from the farm. We're here to just talk to you a little bit about the current project we've been working on, which is going to be our food forest.
Food forest is really about a no-till kind of garden established with perennials that produce food every year. Here, in one of the first beds that we've got, I dip my hands in this amazing, beautiful stuff, but take a look at that. It's a mixture of the chicken coop bedding that was in the coop when we first started, and we cleared all that out, and I put my foot through the floor.
Yeah.
And then a mix of the wood chips from the red alder trees. So all of that is nice and wet and moist. We didn't water this morning
Nope.
at all. So it's really going to retain that moisture, especially in the summertime when Oregon gets really dry. We're not going to have to come out here and water this stuff. So kind of show you that a little bit. Then I think, Chris, you were just mentioning a moment ago, what was like one of the biggest learnings that you had while we were constructing this food forest?
So I think the biggest thing, at least for me, is the planning of it. Is that Trey had the idea in his head, and so we kind of just rocked with that idea and we started working. But one of the big problems was with the design, with where things were placed. So I think one of the biggest things that I learned while doing this is that when we have ideas, it's great to start executing those, but before you start executing them, you should actually sit down and plan them out. The bed down there was
This was the first
one that we started, and we kind of just started putting stuff on the ground, and then we ran into, well, where our path is gonna go. So we didn't really plan it out on paper or even, taking some string or something like that and mapping it out. We kind of just put some logs down on the ground and said, okay, well, this is where it's gonna go. So I think the biggest thing that I learned was that you actually need to do some planning before you start executing. Ideas are great, and that's how you get what we have here, but we had to shift some of the beds over because there wasn't enough of a walkway here in the middle. It was too close to the other bed over here. So I think just actually taking the idea and planning it out, and either drawing a diagram of where things should go. But I think honestly the best thing we could have done was to come out here with some rope, some stakes, stake things off, and then rocked with the plan that way, because you're just going to wind up doing more work in the end.
Yeah, you kind of do the rework. I think even when we kind of stumbled a little bit, right? Because it was me, my default is I'm always like, let's just do it. And so when we did kind of the beds and so forth, we had this first bed in place, and even when we drew it out and we knew like, okay, this is where everything's going to go, then we got to the point where we had these two beds in place, and then we were putting, we were adding this bed in here, and then it was like the walk path through here, and the walk path through here was off. So this bed then needs to be shifted over, and so it was a lot of like tweaking and stuff that went on that we could have saved ourselves tons of time if we would have staked and roped it out and been able to visually see it.
Yeah, because we did this one was our first one, that one was our second one,
and then third one and
fourth one. And so when we got this one done and that one done, and we started to work on this one, is when we discovered, hey, I don't think this is going to be wide enough.
Right.
And we wanted the paths to be, that you could at least walk through here with our black. This thing, by the way, is a lifesaver. It's been amazing. Well, we wanted to get a path that was at least wide enough to bring a cart through, which you can see it is, because we might have to bring additional wood chips through. You know, depending on the size of the trees and the production of fruit,
Right.
we may need to use the cart to come in and actually get around the trees and
Absolutely.
pick fruit.
Yeah, and I think it was the other thing. The initial idea, right, was too. Was like when you're down on the ground, if you're picking.
Yeah, is there
Strawberries.
enough room at the beds to actually
Reach in
get
and not
in
disturb.
without kicking something that's growing
Yeah.
over on this side?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the idea behind it is, though we have these beds specified right now, and they have the cardboard and they have the mulch on them, and this is going to be where we first plant. Once all of this gets mulched, we'll have the flexibility to adjust this food forest as we kind of move forward,
Yep.
right? And we'll have all that flexibility. So
Plant new things, take things out, especially strawberries, because
yeah, we'll have to weed out the strawberries because they're going to grow pretty quick. But this is the whole start, and we'll, probably about 3 years or so, we should be able to get some fruit off of our fruit trees, which will be great. We've already got flowers, which is awesome for the pollinators, so they know where all the good stuff's at. We're going to entice them over here, but I think that's kind of where we are with it. And I think the other awesome thing too, Chris, is that the food forest is so close to where the first chicken coop is, and even where we're going to have the second chicken coop.
yeah,
So all of that nice compost and everything that we'll get from there, we clean out those coops once a year. That stuff, it decreases how far we have to transport all of that, and we can just spread that right on top. The idea is you don't want to mix any of this stuff in. You just want to add it on top every year, and
let it continuously
and let
break
it
down in
continues to
layers.
break down, just kind of like the forest, right? It's what
Yeah.
we're mimicking here. When you ever go and you walk into the forest and you just reach your hand down and touch the soil, it's so rich and dark and loose and soft. That's what we want to mimic here. So it's always about adding more on top of it to keep everything rich, moist, full of nutrition.
And that's what we started getting with the original compost too, as you could see when Trey showed you.
Yeah.
And that was a big surprise because it's only been
It's only been there, I
like a
think,
couple of months
a couple
maybe.
of months, and it's already
like it was super rich and dark and
Yeah.
you could just
you can see it breaking
you can
down.
smell it, but it's not like a bad smell. It's like
No.
it's like a good soil smell. So
Yeah, it doesn't smell like chicken poop or anything like that at all. So
close to the source. So
yeah, which is great.
Right now we only have 16 chickens, but I mean when we get the second coop built, we want to that's another video we'll talk about as far as like with
But it-
chickens and stuff like that. But right now 16 chickens are producing enough fertilizer because it's not really fertilizer until it composts, but
Yeah.
they're producing enough to support what we have right now, and in the future we'll have enough chickens that'll be able to supply us with enough compost to do our high tunnel with all of our yearly vegetables and that sort of thing.
Yeah, provide us with eggs, meat, and etc. So
Another good thing, like we said, is we chose like plants and flowers and stuff like that are perennials, and like with our flowers and the things that we're planting, you also want to make sure, because of the space that we have. I mean, right now you can see it's kind of shaded in the back, but it's still early in the morning. The sun's still it's not even directly overhead.
yeah,
So we wanted to choose plants, flowers, and stuff like that were going to be good in direct sunlight, because for the most part, all day long, this whole area is just nothing but sun. So
yeah,
choosing, flowers for pollinators, plants that are going in the ground, herbs, berries, stuff like that. Choose stuff that's going to be, with the sun exposure that you have, you want to choose plants that are going to do well.
yeah. And I think that was one of the things we did at the first part, right? Was we kind of
decided, hey,
mapped out like, well, how's the sun moving on the property? What looks like a good location, right? And I think we even did like some pictures of like, okay, here's where the sun is at this time and at this time. And though this is a little shady back here right now, in the morning the sun really comes through strong. It probably
strong,
it
have
gets
about
maybe
a
about
2 hour break.
break, and then it gets blasted with sun again.
And it's all sun until about 6:30 or so, and then the top part starts shading, which we've got
Yeah, which we have some
We've got-
shaded flowers.
we bought plants just for the top part of the garden that gets shade, so it's not like all the pollinators are just going to be attracted to one area. We kind of placed flowers and stuff like that throughout. We've got what are those, lilies?
Yeah, we have some calla lilies back there.
Calla lilies that are getting eaten up. Yeah. Anywho, but we got some flowers that are going to be in between the trees too. So it's not like everything is just this one area is what we're focusing on.
Right, correct. But I think the other idea too behind those is that when those die back every year, right? When all this stuff kind of dies back, all that foliage and stuff is going to then add additional nutrients to it, right? And we're not going to work that in. We're just going to let it break down like normal. And so that'll be good too with the flowers, right? Especially with the calla lilies, they got nice big green leaves that'll die out, right? That then will provide nutrients there in that space by those trees. Same thing with the strawberries that we've got. When the leaves die out there, that's going to add more mulch to the base of the trees, and we kind of keep that nice cycle. And this theoretically should be as maintenance-free as possible with the exclusion of weeding out the strawberries every so often,
Cutting back lavender.
and cutting back
Pruning
lavender,
trees.
and pruning the fruit trees.
Just basic garden maintenance that you have to do.
So I'm really excited about it, and we'll keep you updated and some videos going forward on the progress as Food Forest grows.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.